Hey everybody. Okay. I am so excited to do this live. I know I always say that, but I'm actually also really nervous. This is a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and this one is more geared towards makeup artists. And so I'm just going to start with saying a little bit about myself for those of you who maybe haven't been following me, or this is your first live with me or your first video on YouTube. I'm just going to introduce myself for a minute here. My name is Louisa Griffith, and I am married to my best friend. We have 4 boys, and I am really passionate about makeup and especially about color. I've loved color, been completely obsessed with it my whole life, and I'm so in love with it, it's almost distracting. So pairing makeup and all of that together, it's just so fun for me. Makeup has just become my art. I consider myself an artist. I love art, and makeup is something where I get to do a new canvas every time. I get to try it on new canvases, not just my own, and I get to really play with color, which I love so much. So thank you for popping in here. This is definitely a live that I plan on keeping and putting on YouTube, so it will be there and available. But this is, like I said, something that I've been waiting to do for a really long time. So mostly because honestly, the science of color and makeup and art in general is very subjective to preference. It's very subjective to the artist, to what you love, to what you see as, what is beauty, and that is in the eye of the beholder. So I am certainly not the boss and the complete authority on all of this, and I don't ever want to come across that way. But at the same time, there's some really awesome things about makeup and color that I want to share with you, that I want to talk to you about. Whether you're just a lover of makeup, you're a makeup artist, whether you use the same brand that I use, which you'll see why I use it in a little bit here, or you're just interested in color in general. I hope that you'll be able to get something from this. And what I've kind of prepared today. I don't usually prepare all kinds of notes and have it on my computer, but I've been thinking about this and sharing this for a long time, so I just really wanted to go over it in a way that made sense and that would be helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and feel free to ask questions if you have any, but I'll probably kind of try to speed through what I have in the first place, so that way I don't get distracted, because I get distracted really easily. All right, so when it comes to color and to makeup and all of that, what everybody's looking for, honestly, is what color is going to look best on you, right? Or on your client. And finding that can be tricky, or you can look at it as it's an art and it's something that's really awesome, and finding the perfect matches for you. I learn new things all of the time, just like anyone does when they're creating and when it's a creative type of activity. You're always going to learn more, and the more that you learn, the more you're going to learn that you don't know, and the more that you can delve into it. So this is a brief overview, as brief as I can keep it, of how to find the perfect foundation colors for you, and how to find something that you love, that you're really happy with, and a little bit of color science and why it works the way that it works, because color science applies to all colors, doesn't just mean makeup. All right, so first off, like I said, I still struggle myself, even with each color match that I do. The biggest reason why I struggle at this point is not because I don't know what to do. It's because I can't decide. But that's kind of a personal problem. Like, I'm just really bad at making decisions, so I'm working on that. But to be clear, there's so many options. There's not really a wrong or a right, because it's your preference. And preference is going to trump like laws and rules and all of that, and it that's going to trump that. And what's really going to trump it all too is being in person. Being in person with someone can never be replaced by online pictures, though I certainly try and do my best. And I think that I've gotten it down to the point where I feel like I'm able to share my expertise, and so that's why I'm making this video for you. So at the end of the day, like I said, personal preference always has the last say. And so when you're doing this type of a thing, don't be afraid to say, this isn't something that looks good, or I don't like this exactly, and so I'm just going to start again. That's the beauty of having a reusable canvas, is that you can just kind of wipe it off and you can try again, or buff it out a little bit. Okay, so the very first thing that I want to talk about is that we always say color matching, and that color matching to me is not really the goal. And that's not really the goal for me. It might be the goal for you, but what I have found with makeup, I'm not really looking for a match per se, because matching can get tricky. We don't all have a blank canvas that we're working on, and so if you're just matching things, you could be matching absolutely anything, instead of what you're really doing when you are putting on foundation or blushes or eyeshadows or anything, is that you're pairing colors together, right? You're marrying these colors, you're melding them together, and most of us don't start with a completely white blank or black blank canvas where we can just say, you know, this one color is that color. On top of that, if we were to do that, you're not getting dimension, and you're not getting the full 3D effect of a face and of your body or different parts of it, your eyes, your lips, your features that you have. You're not getting that dimension if you were to just cover everything and have one one layer, which is why makeup is even created, is to enhance different features. All right, and that's why we wear it. And on top of that, that's why highlighting and contouring was born, because you are pulling out different features, and your face is not one color, and so your makeup shouldn't be one color either. And so that is why highlighting and contouring has become something that it's not just a craze or a phase, it's something that has been a movement, so that you're not matching, you're marrying, you're pairing these colors, and you're bringing out the features. So that's the 3D difference to me, rather than just, hey, I'm going to pick out this foundation, it's going to match. I remember even, not too long ago, when I was a budding teenager, and I would go and I would take the foundation from Walmart or something, and you would take a little stripe and you'd put it on your hand, and then you'd be like, oh, this matches, okay, great. Well, that's like really bad. I mean, like, how different is my hand from my face? And you're gonna see all kinds of different things, and you just, on top of that, again, you're just matching that, and you're just making it one shade. So that's very different. Matching is a mask, and as your skin changes throughout the month or the year, perfectly matching foundation is not going to be stable. It's not going to be something that you feel like it's a solution. You're going to have, you'll start to think like, okay, this is not really working for me, and so I'm going to put on more and more makeup instead of you enhancing things. And so that's why you want to be pairing, and you want to be constantly working with what's the word? I keep saying the canvas, but you want to keep working with the canvas colors as they change. I know for me, I don't put a lot of makeup on men, but especially, so I'll just say with women and with me personally, I am through the times of the year, the month, it could be hot, it could be cold, it could be whatever it is, my skin color, my undertones, those types of things are going to change. Maybe I got a little bit of sun, maybe I have a breakout, whatever it might be. And so pairing is balance and enhancement. And when you're working with matching, it's about light and dark. okay? And when you're working with pairing, it's all about the color. And you'll see that in any of my lives that I do, I don't try to talk about what's lighter, what's darker, with makeup or anything like that. I am talking about what color is this, and how does that color complement, or how does it bring this out, or how does it enhance that? So I like to think about it like, my husband and I, we really love each other, and we are so opposite. We're just very opposite people. And I feel like that's kind of the way that the universe goes, right? Opposites attract. And so when you're thinking about you're pairing things together rather than you have the same person, okay? Because if you have the same person, I don't know, maybe you're going to fight more, you're going to kill each other and all that kind of stuff. When you have that, we complement each other. We're more of a balanced match. That's kind of how I like to think about it. We're a more balanced pair. We complement each other and we come together nicely instead of having the same duplicate of another. And that is the principle that I try to apply when it comes to foundations, is that foundation, highlighting, contouring, and all those types of things, is that I'm not, you're never just talking about, oh, I need to go lighter, I need to go darker. You're talking about what color is going to complement, okay? So I'm going to go into the color wheel and why the color wheel matters. A lot of you probably went over the color wheel in like kindergarten or something like that. Or maybe you're an artist. So this is a basic color wheel that I have. I know I'm going to get the ring light in here. But this is a basic color wheel. It's a little more in depth than a basic color wheel. I couldn't find my laminated sheet of color. Here we go. I'll do it like that. I don't know. That's probably like way too bright. But as you can see on there, with the colors I really want to focus on are the primary colors. And that's the red, yellow, and blue. And red, yellow, and blue, everybody knows those are your primary colors. And those are the three colors that cannot be made from mixing other colors together. Okay, those are going to be more true colors. So, and I'll get to why all of this matters. But when you mix together, so you have your primary colors, when any two of those are mixed together, you're going to make secondary colors, okay? So when I mix together red and yellow, I'm going to make orange, okay? It's a secondary color. When I mix together yellow and blue, I'm going to make green. But if I were to mix them all together, then they would all neutralize each other and they would make brown, basically. So when you see anything that's brown, you're going to know, or tan, beige type of any level of brown, you're going to see that that is a marrying of all the primary colors together. Most skin tones, we'll talk about this more later too, most skin tones are a level of brown, and they're going to have, or beige, tan, and they're going to have certain levels of undertones, which could be that red, that yellow, or that blue, or a variation, okay? So the undertones are going to be where you're really going to see different colors, but what you're going to see on the surface is going to be, most of the time, a variation of brown. So when you're talking about primary colors and secondary colors and tertiary colors, there's three of those mixed together, and all those things, and endless possibilities and these endless mixtures. The reason why they matter is because you are balancing out those different things. So let's see, if you are talking about when you're dealing with a color wheel, okay, you can have your, let's do this one here. This one's a little more specific to the colors that I use, makeup, the foundation colors, but just ignore these little boxes and let's talk about it this way because it's a little more easy, a little more correct. Okay, so when you're talking about your primary colors here, they're actually in a triangle, okay? Yellow, blue, and red. In this color wheel example, they form a triangle, okay? So when mixed together, again, you have your tertiary colors, which also form a triangle. And then you have, your secondary, and then you have your tertiary colors, all right? And those are also going to be in the middle of all those types of things. Those are all those mixtures together, and endless and on and forever, until you come to, the point where you are getting lighter and lighter, or darker and darker, okay? with more pigment or less pigment. So the reason why those matter is because you have something called contrasting colors and neutral, which are also neutralizing colors. So where with your primary colors, your red, yellow, and blue here in this triangle, they each have an opposite secondary color, which will neutralize, okay? And they're also contrasting colors. So you'll see these a lot in things like Christmas, holidays, sports teams, different stores, logos. I'm sure that you guys can think of some of those right off the top of your head that you're like, oh yeah, okay. And the reason why is because right next to each other, those colors are going to really stand out. They're going to really be contrasting. One is going to really bring the other one out a lot, okay? And they're also sometimes called complementary colors because they really bring each other out and they really make each other stand out. But when mixed together, they are neutralizing colors, okay? And those are directly across each other in the color wheel. So yellow and violet or purple are contrasting colors. They're neutralize each other if you were to put them together. Green and red neutralize, blue and orange neutralize, which I think that right there is already super mind-blowing and really awesome about colors. There's also different types of colors that are complementary in certain ways. There's oh gosh, I can't even think of some of the different terms, but that's kind of not really what I'm getting into today. What I want you to understand about the color wheel and how it can help you is that if you have someone that has a particularly red, lots and lots of redness in their face, something that's going to neutralize that redness is going to be a more green tone, okay? If you have someone who has very purple under eyes, a yellow tone is going to help neutralize that as well. If you have someone that say they have a lot of blue, that if you're going to give them something that's a little more orange. Something that I want you to notice, however, is that each one of these contrasting colors up here have that yellow in them, and each one right here, these are all going to have that more cool tone in them, okay? So we're not really totally talking about undertones and all of that, but undertones can be helpful in ways that you're wanting to look at different bases, and I have different bases listed here. So basically what I want to help you understand is that this is going to be warm over here. So you're going to see more green veins. If you're looking at veins for help on what the undertones are. And if you're looking for more cool undertones, you're going to see more of the red and the ruddy, kind of more of a brownish or a deeper olivey color of brownish, deeper olive for cool tones. And then you're going to see, and I think I even have a little key here, green veins is going to be more warm. Did I say that incorrectly? Sorry. Green veins is going to be more warm. And to think about that, our blood is blue. And so you're running through and you're going to have that warmth. They're contrasting each other. You're going to have that yellow mixed in there. And then if you're going to have that cool tones, you're going to have that more of that purple and blue here. And then that neutral undertones is going to be more, in this area of that. Does that kind of make sense at all? So, let's see. Sorry, I have a comment here. I'm way behind on it, so I want to keep going. All right, so what I'm really talking about more than undertones is more about the pigment in your skin and all of that kind of stuff. So let's get into that part of it here with my little notes. All right, so what I like to do is I'm going to start with correcting, and that's going to help bring all of this color wheel stuff in with that. So when I am, let's talk about correcting more and just get in depth with that, because these colors are going to really help guide you in correcting. So I always start with, what is my end goal? What is the end goal? And that is, again, completely a preferential thing. I'm not going to, unless I'm a makeup artist for something and I go and they say have free reign, then I'll go in and I'll have free reign. But most of the time I want to see what it is that my client, or I want to think about what it is that I want to neutralize, or what I want to correct, or what I want to do to my face in general. Do I want to brighten it? Do I want to bring out my eyes? Do I have some redness I want to cover? Do I have acne? Do I have, is my face kind of really, really greenish looking? And is someone going to pull that out and say, hi, hey, I just feel like my face is just really, really red and I don't love that, or whatever else that might be. Okay. So we need to figure out first what the end goal is and what they're wanting. So for me, the steps for finding the perfect 3D look is to start with correcting, then deal with matching, or pairing, I should say, and then brighten / darken. Okay. So I'm going to start with correcting and talk about reasons why I would want to correct someone, or why, just a couple of reasons why. Maybe their neck and their face don't match. Maybe they have freckles and they want to bring out their freckles. They love their freckles. They don't want them covered. Maybe they want to cover their freckles. Acne, redness, sunspots, discoloration, or just plain personal preference. Lots of people tell me, I have such big bags under my eyes. I personally think that we're just our own worst critics, but if someone's really bothered by their under eye area, I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to correct that for them, okay? So when I'm pairing something and I'm doing that color matching with them, the color correcting with them, I'm going to start by figuring out exactly what it is that they want to correct. So again, if we're dealing with someone who has a lot of redness, then maybe something that I would do is give them something that has a touch of that green in there. So because they have redness, maybe I'm going to just give them a touch of green. And I'm saying like just a little bit. If you neutralize it too much, you're going to miss out on the brightness and you can end up making it look really dull. When I have someone who comes in, I remember I had someone and she just said, I just feel like my skin is so green. All right. I'm going to find her a really, really warm color. And I'm going to, see how those can neutralize each other. And it might not look like it's going to be something that matches. And that's the deal with color correcting. Sometimes you have to go to a different level. You have to, or shade level or whatever else, if that makes sense, a shade level. So that way you can find that right color. Instead of you worrying so much about lighter or darker, again, you're worrying about what the color is and how that's going to help neutralize, because that's the first step. You can worry about making it look like it matches or it pairs nicely together later, but you want to start with that color correcting, and that's the absolute first thing. If they have a lot of acne, maybe they have a lot of freckles. Those are two situations, spots of any kind, anything that's blotchy. I'm going to recommend that with color correcting, what I do is I'm going to try to find a happy medium in between those blotches or those spots or the freckles or whatever it might be. I'm going to try to find a shade that is in between those to start with. If that doesn't cover what's needed to be covered, then I'm going to have to go down to that level of what needs to be covered. So if someone wants their freckles completely covered, I might have to go down to the level, go darker to the level of what their freckles, the color of their freckles. Does that make sense? And then I'm going to then create dimension. But that's the first step, is that correction. Okay. And I have all kinds of troubleshooting tips. I did another video on this. I talk about what colors would look great and, what I would do for acne or spots or discoloration or things like that. And that's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm just talking about that. So check out that video if you're interested. But right now I'm just talking about the science of foundation and finding the perfect foundation. So the next thing, that second step, is that pairing or that matching. All right, so we've color corrected everything and we have everything in the right kind of like, we have a fresh canvas, we have a fresh start. Okay, so then I'm going to do something where I'm going to figure out, okay, now I'm going to actually do the match part, where I want to have a part of their face, at least a majority, kind of matching their neck. So that way it's going to look more seamless. You're not going to have weird, like you're not going to have orange face and, a fair neck, or you're not going to have a really, really warm neck and a really cool toned face. So that's when matching is important. Color matching or pairing factors in that are going to factor in 1, undertones, 2, pigment, 3, shade level, which is your undertone depth and your skin tone depth. Okay, so you're also factoring in that undertone depth. And then also your personal preference. That's the bonus one. Again, it's personal preference. It's what people like. If someone wants to have mixy matchy stuff, that's their thing. That's what they like. That's what they like. And I find a lot of people really like to have that more tan look on their face, and so they want that, and it might look different than their neck, and that's fine. It's just, that's their personal preference. Okay, so starting with undertones, again, I talked about that, where you're going to have your more cool tones are going to be that blue and that purple veins. You can see the veins in your face sometimes. You can see them when you're looking, once you kind of get an eye for it, you can see more of that. And that's going to be more of the matching type thing, or the color correcting. I mean, it can really go either way with that. And it's going to look really orange if I put a really like warm red foundation on myself, because I have really cool undertones, and that's the matching part of it. Okay. And vice versa. If I have really warm undertones and I put a really cool toned foundation on me, it's going to make me look ashen and sallow, and it's not going to create all that warmth and that brightness that I have, and not complement that. Again, that's the end goal for me, is to have warmth and brightness, and I love that. And that's my end goal. But that's maybe not everybody else's end goal. And sometimes I'm okay just being the whitey that I am. I'm so fair. But most of the time I like to have brightness and warmth. But I can't just straight up go and put warm colors on me. Just the exact same as someone who is really warm can't just go and put cool tones on them. So that's the matching part of it. All right. When you're dealing with their pigment, you're also looking at their face. So you have your undertones, which is the colors under your skin. And then you have your skin, which is going to be, you're going to be looking at the pigment of your skin. All right. And that's going to factor in other things when you're matching. The next thing that you're looking at is shade level. And that's going to be the determining factor, the time when you introduce light to dark. Okay. So we went over correcting, and then the match part, and then now we're going to talk about brightening and darkening. Okay. So brightening and darkening is the really kind of the wrap up of getting the perfect 3D foundation, the 3D look, really complementing someone's face or skin tones. And that's going to be, I guess that's kind of what I was trying to say. That's going to be the icing on the cake, because that's what's going to actually create that depth, that face look, those compliments and things like that. Everything that I'm going to say to you about myself works in reverse. So I have very cool undertones. I'm going to start by complementing, by when I'm darkening things, I'm going to start by darkening and contouring with a contour color that matches my natural shadows, okay? Because otherwise it's not going to look like a contour. It's not going to look natural. It's going to look like there's color on my face. Instead of it looking like, oh, she has chiseled cheekbones right here, which I don't actually have. Or, hey, she doesn't have a double chin, which I actually do have. Or whatever else it might be. Or she doesn't have a 5 head, which I do have. I'm beating myself up. I don't really mean to. But the point is that it's not going to look natural. It's just going to look like an orange stripe. The same works in the opposite for cool tones or for warm tones. If I take a really cool toned contour and I go and I just put that on there, they're going to look like sallow. They're going to look like Maleficent cheekbones going on, you know, like really high cheekbones and very bony because and that's not at all that like healthy look and that glow and what we're trying to achieve. It's not going to look natural. And I know it's funny to say like, hey, I want my makeup to look natural. But when people say they want it to look natural, what they really mean is, in my opinion, most of the time what they really mean is that they want it to all complement and meld together nicely and look like it flows well and is the perfect colors for you. Not that it's distracting and like, wow, look at your makeup. Oh, that's makeup all over your face. Instead saying, oh, you look really nice. That's the natural look that people are going for. Not that we want to like look natural because we would just put on mom buns and, you know, I don't know, not have any eyebrows or lashes. Okay. So, that's the natural, that is how you contour. You need to start there. Then you can add depth with warmth and things like that if you want to. You don't have to. I love a good bronzer, but I'm not going to contour with my bronzer because I have very cool undertones. Just like, and I'm not going to contour with someone who has warm undertones either. I'm going to use a warmer version, but most people, their shadows aren't this warm, bronzy, orangey color, okay? So then when you're talking about, so that's darkening. Now you're talking about light, okay? So or brightening, sorry. So let's talk about yellow base foundations. Yellow, red and blue are all those primary colors, right? That's that triangle. So when you have yellow, red, and blue, most of the time, red and blue are not going to be like acceptable methods for brightening. All right, we don't look at blues as always as like, oh, hey, that's a really brightening color. We don't look at reds in that way as well. We're going to look at something like the sun and lights and all those kinds of things. And the reason why we don't want to necessarily brighten with white is because white's going to, just like on this piece of paper, white's going to make anything stand out, okay? So that's a very high contrast. So if you're doing something that, if you've gotten that nice beige look and then you have a little bit of yellow left over, then that's going to give it that extra brightness. So I love the foundations I use because they all have some yellow in them. And so once I've kind of color corrected, then what's going to be left over is that I'm going to, maybe I have a lot of redness. So I put on that green. I know I keep using this example, but I have a lot of redness. So I put on a foundation that has a little bit of green in it. And what's going to be left over is that, because that red and that green neutralize each other, what's going to be left over is that pleasant, brightening, slightly yellow. Now, I don't want like super yellow, orangey, that's just not going to look healthy, but something with just a soft yellow touch is going to brighten everything rather than having it matching. Again, that's not going to, when we do matching and then people take highlighter, they take highlighter and they they use something that's really, really white. It's a lot lighter, much lighter shades, which is fine. But again, I'm going for brightening rather than white or lighter, okay? That also can give a very ashen, sallow base when you use something that's just lighter rather than something that's brighter. And it can pull out colors that you don't really want it to pull out, which is why it can throw colors off. So I always recommend a foundation that has a bit of a yellow base to it, because that's going to give you a nice glow. Now, there's definitely different variations of yellow, and that's for another live. But okay, so that's the brightening and the darkening, and that was the final step. So again, the perfect foundation match. You always want to start with correcting, then you want to go into the actual matching, and then you want to go into brightening and darkening. So I just want to go over just a couple little last things, and then I promise I will wrap this up. But I want to talk about the light and dark, just a little bit more about the light and dark kind of conundrum of everything. So let's go over first just very fair skin problems. And I have dealt with these all of my life, but I feel like I've been able to kind of get past it. And I want to help you out and focus on this for a minute, because this is like a really real thing. I actually spoke with a lovely girl today. We've been talking for a couple of days about how to help her get the foundation highlighting and contouring that she wants. And the look that she's going for is a classic. So I had to figure out exactly what it is that she's looking for. And the look that I figured out that she's going for is that classic high contrasting highlight and color look, okay? Where you have those nice chiseled cheekbones, the really bright a triangle of light, lots of brightness in here, and just having that gorgeous contoured look that everybody loves so much. So we talked about it, and I was able to kind of figure out what she was looking for, and she was kind of unhappy with her current foundation colors. She's so fair that she was using the fairest colors, and I finally said, okay. I think this is, I had a hunch in the beginning that was the problem, but again, I want to deal with her preference and what she sees and what she wants, rather than what my opinion was, which was, hey, she needs to do this or that. I wanted to know what she was looking for. So once I kind of saw a couple different variations of her makeup and said, okay, so what is it exactly that you don't love about this or that, I was able to figure out that she wasn't feeling she was getting that really glowy, beautiful look. So when you're super, super, super fair, the problem is this. If I take a white piece of paper, just this, and and I want to create dimension on this, I can darken the white piece of paper. That color is going to show up very true to your skin tone, okay? So you have to be careful with the contour that you're going to use, because the contour is going to be what the contour is. Just like if I took it and I smeared it across this white piece of paper. Now imagine that you have a white piece of paper like this, and you have spots on it like this. These spots are showing up so, vividly, because you're so just white. You're so fair. And having that light color is difficult, because it's just like I was saying with freckles, with spots and things like that. You're going to have to figure out a way, if you want to be able to cover those, you have two options. And one of it is to just cake a ton of makeup on, which I don't love that look, and that's not my personal preference, and I don't think it was her personal preference. And to be able to get enough coverage to cover up those spots, or you're going to have to use something to color correct those spots. And so that means you're going to have to go darker. So the first problem is the color correction of that. And hey, I have these spots that I want to cover up, or I have these dark circles or whatever. And you're going to have to actually add some color, and adding any color is going to be darker than what your skin tone is. the perfect situation for something like that is to, and it might sound kind of high maintenance and it might kind of sound like this is just really not what I want to do, but putting on a darker color and then putting a light color over top of that. That might be difficult for you to correct. You might not love it, but I want you to look at another aspect of trying to brighten up a really fair-skinned person. How can I take the color white and make it more bright? That is very difficult to do. I could only take a brighter level of white or whiter level of white, and there's not a lot options there. So it is difficult when you're dealing with that very, 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 extreme. And so that and the color correcting, if I have acne spots that I just hate or whatever, the easiest, most simple solution for that is to go darker with your foundation, and then go lighter so that you can brighten it. However, then you have dark foundation, maybe you have it all over your chin, and then your neck is a different color. So that's where the beauty of bronzer, tan in a can, any of those kinds of things come in and can really help you out. And so if you are doing your makeup and you're feeling like, I just have this unevenness and I just feel like I have to cake it on so that I can cover up these things, consider doing something like a healthy glow and a healthy bronze. You can even take your bronzer and you can, if you have a cream bronzer, I wouldn't suggest doing this with a powder bronzer for obvious reason. If you have a cream bronzer, put that all over first, and then you can go in with a darker color of foundation and feel like you're actually creating a contrast. When I first started highlighting and contouring, I used this brand of makeup that I absolutely loved, which is Mascara Beauty. And I was like, everybody else is getting these really beautiful, vivid, like triangle of light. It's just popping and glowing. And I'm not getting that. Well, because I was so fair, I couldn't brighten that up anymore. So you really have to realize that that's one of the things that you're going to deal with fair-skinned people, or if you're fair-skinned yourself. And a really simple solution to that is bronzer, and that warmth, and then going in and, or you can do it in the other way around if you want to. I do that plenty of times where I do, my contour is very cool toned. My foundation is more of a neutral, and then my brightener is a very cool tone as well. And then I go in with a bronzer and I do all of that. And so that way my foundation doesn't look orange here and then fair here. Okay. The next one is, let's talk about brown girl problems. There's so many problems, and it's so rarely addressed in the makeup world. And I know that people just do not provide the right shades. They don't provide the right tools and all of that kind of stuff, and it really sucks. So I just want to address that for a minute, that this goes back to, it's not about too light or too dark. It is about color. All right. So what colors do you see? It's exactly the same as if you are any level of skin. What colors do you see? Okay. Do you need to correct anything? Then match something and then brighten it. It is not that hard, because color on color is easier than white trying to cover dark, okay? But you have to be able to have deeper, darker shades in the appropriate colors. That is why I love this foundation line, Mascara Beauty, because they provide a ton of different color options instead of it being like, hey, this is just for this level of skin tone and this is just for that level of skin tone. That's not what it's about. It's about the color of it, okay? Because I can have someone wearing a very dark, what's considered a very dark color, because they're color correcting, and then they'll put something very bright and light over it so that it all matches and it's all cohesive and it's all beautiful. And then I can put someone who's very dark shade or level in the same foundation. And the reason why it matches, the reason why it complements, the reason why it's paired beautifully is because of the color depth in it. And you are complementing the colors. You're not trying to cover, and you're not trying to just wear a mask. You're trying to bring out and contour and all those types of things, okay? And that is honestly, to me, the biggest problem with traditional foundation versus 3D foundation is that it is about light versus dark. And you have to match, you have to have every color. And that is so hard because you're trying to come up with every color combination possible with every single undertone possible. You're trying to come up with every single, it's like a big combination lock, and to be able to match all of those skin tones, you have to have the widest, most crazy range where you have trillions of color combinations that is not even, reasonable to imagine that a shade line could even come out with all of those. And everyone's going to find their perfect match. So again, that is why I think focusing on color is absolutely everything. That is why I love my color wheel. That's why I go by it. I live and die by it. And that is how I have built all of my foundation matching skills. That's how I pick out eyeshadows. That's how I pick out brow colors. That's how I pick out what I wear and all those types of things. I know, again, look at me right now. I am wearing contrasting colors. I have red hair and I have on a green shirt. Why does it look so good? Because one makes the other one pop. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to power down now and pretend like I have a life outside of talking about color, but I really appreciate you tuning in, and I'm grateful for all of the love and the support, and that everybody just has kind of come together and can enjoy talking about this kind of stuff because it's so near and dear to my heart. And I just appreciate all of my followers, my customers, the people that I'm able to get together with and color match, the pictures that you send me to color match. I truly enjoy it. And it's a huge part of me just being able to live my passion and my dream. So thank you so much. And I hope that you guys have a great night. If you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to message me. And I would love for you to follow me and to, stay my friend. Let's be friends, okay? Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and I will talk to you soon.